wave to the camera. This is their way of knowing it's not fake. Hey, Zach, come here, buddy. Alright.
No. Don't do that. Don't do that. This is so awkward.
Imagine living in a city where all public transportation was easy to access. For example, in cities like London, there's public transportation all over the city with taxis, buses, and the infamous tube, which is their version of a subway system. However, in a city we live in like Jacksonville, we have a map of buses with very few stops and hard to access unless you hop multiple buses. So my argument today is that we need to find a way to increase public transportation within the city of Jacksonville. One of the ways I think we could do this, because we have the amount of people we have and the land size, is introducing a public subway system. While we have the little connector in downtown and San Marco, if we could introduce a system all over the city of Jacksonville, I believe it would make it much more efficient and cause less vehicular crashes on the road. The city of Jacksonville is the largest city in the lower continual 48 states. The four other largest cities are in Alaska, and most of them don't even have the population we do in my neighborhood for their entire city, and our neighborhood's pretty big. But let's do a little backtrack. The history of Jacksonville. In 2005, we hosted the NFL Super Bowl, and when we hosted that, it was brought to our attention how poorly our public transportation system is, our highways, our roads that connect all of Jacksonville. And to this day, 19 years later, we still have issues all over the city with Jacksonville and its poor community systems. A quote I read earlier was that after the NFL Super Bowl, we started having a really good kickstart and started able to build good progress towards new roads, interstates. And then in 2007, we started seeing the collapse, and in 2008, the Great Recession, and the stock market crashed and the market crashed. And an example I can use about our issues nowadays is on Southern and Jacksonville, they're starting to do a lot of building houses, golf courses in the Mandarin, Jillington Creek area, and residents in the Wells Creek subdivision said it can take them more than half an hour to leave the community during peak hours. They said the problem is that they have no traffic light to help them enter or exit their community. They say there are constant crashes in the area, and they hope traffic light will solve that problem. Thankfully, the city of Jacksonville and surrounding areas are in the process of building a new pass around the city that will connect Blanding Boulevard and Middleburg all the way to the Shands Bridge. While this may not be a lot, it is some of the most progress we've seen in decades since the start of 295. The Real Estate Witch has been conducting studies on driving incidents in the state of Florida, and as part of the result, Jacksonville has the highest number of alcohol-related deaths for the second year in a row, with 3.8 deaths per 100,000 residents, 58% more than the average city in the United States. If the city of Jacksonville had a better public transportation system, I would hope people would be able to use that system to safely arrive home without running into any issues on the road. Another study said, according to Smart Growth America, that in 2022, 207 people were killed in traffic crashes on the city's roads, including 50 pedestrians. In the overall top 20 most dangerous by cities by design, Florida's accounted for 7 of the largest cities on the entire list, making Florida the second worst place for pedestrian safety in the country. While I personally have not experienced any deaths that I know of because people were walking on the side of the road or drunk driving in recent years, I also can mourn with those families that have lost people, and I'm hoping a better public transportation system or even a subway around the city of Jacksonville would make it much more safe and effective. I think people would have a hard time conveying the idea of starting. I think people would have a hard time understanding a big metro system at the beginning, but those who have been able to travel cities like London, Shanghai, Tokyo, Washington, D.C., New York, and Chicago, to name a few, understand how effective it is to get around the city. And while our main part of downtown is very small, there's a bunch of areas throughout the city where even if you had one stop in Avondale, San Marco, Riverside, would make it much easier to travel. In order for my solution to work, the public would have to support this idea, most likely sign several petitions, and get the state involved at the very least. There would have to be a petition signed, a bill that would need to be signed. Hopefully local government, the state, and the federal government would fund the idea, which would release the pressure of raising hundreds of millions of dollars most likely. If you take anything away from today, I'll give an understanding of the new safety features that public transportation can include, the speed of transportation hopefully, and maybe the next wave of the future. Finally, I hope you understand this is just an idea, and I hope you enjoy this speech.